Hello, Algebra students. It's Mrs. Trombley, and today we are starting Unit 12. And the first thing we're going to look at is called Measures of Central Tendency. Those words might sound new, but I'm sure the words mean, median, and mode do not sound new to you. You've heard them before. Well, mean, median, and mode are measures of central tendency. It's just a measurement that represents the center of the data. The mean, of course, of the data set is the sum of the data divided by the number of values in the data set. So you add them all up, divide by how many you added. If you're using graphing calculators, please be careful. After you add them all up, you need to hit enter before you divide. Otherwise, your calculator is just going to divide the last two numbers and add the rest. So again, add the entire set, hit enter, then divide by how many there are. The median, it is, of course, the middle. It's the number that's in the middle when the numbers are all arranged in numerical order. When you have two values in the middle, you can't have two middles, so you just find the mean of the two middle values, and then you have your median. And finally, the mode. The mode is just the number in the data set that appears the most. It's not just a value that occurs more than once, it's one that occurs the most in the data set. Alright, so an example here, I have an amusement park and they are hiring students for the summer. The students' hourly wages are given in this table, and you are asked to find the mean, median, and the mode of the hourly wages. I don't know if I'd want a job at this amusement park. These rates are not looking very good. Anyhow, we have 8 different values given here. Let's find the mean first. I think they call it the mean because it takes the longest to figure it out. It's mean. Alright, so when we're going to find the mean of this, you're going to take your calculator and you're going to add all of those numbers up. So go ahead. I'll wait. Maybe not that much longer. When you add up all of those numbers, you get 58.8. We now need to take that amount and divide it by the number of numbers you added. So we added 8 numbers, and 58.8 divided by 8 gives you 7.35. So that means that the average pay is $7.35. Now let's go ahead and find the median. Remember that we need our values to be in numerical order to figure out what the middle is. So I would go ahead and write these in order right across your paper. So we have the lowest value, $3.87. That's just ridiculous. Who would do that? Who would work for that much? Alright, next we have, let's see, I see a $6.99. I'm going to put a little dot by it so I know that I've used it. Then I have some 7s. I see $7.25 and $7.25 again. Oh, that's a repeating value. We might need that later. And the next lowest looks like, where's it at? $7.99. And then we have an $8.25, an $8.45, and $8.75. I'm not sure that you can see all of that. I'll scooch it a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to count again to make sure I have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, good. So to find the median, I basically just start at each end and work my way towards the center. And when you do that, there ends up being 2 numbers in the middle. Well, we said you can't have 2 medians, so to figure out what the actual median is, I'm going to find the mean of those. So I would take 725 plus 799 and divide that by 2. And when you take 725 plus 799, hit enter first, remember, and then divide by 2, we get a median of $7.62. The last one we need to find is the mode. I think I can squeeze that in right here. And the mode is just the data value that appears the most. So when you're looking at your data set across here, I don't have anything repeating, nothing repeating. I see that I have 725 twice. That happens once, once, once. So 725 happens twice, which is the most. So the mode would be $7.25. Alright, next topic of discussion. I'm guessing you've heard about these before too. Outliers. And yes, it does have the word liar in there. I think it's called an outlier because it kind of lies to you about what your central tendencies are. So outliers, those are just values that are much higher or much lower than all the rest of the values in the data set. Usually if you have the data in order from least to greatest, you can identify an outlier a lot easier. Look at the beginning or look at the end. You're not really going to have outliers in the middle of the data. So in looking at example number 1, the first thing I want to know is, are there any outliers in that data set? Well, when you look back, you've got those numbers all written in order here. And I see we start at $3.87, and then we jump to a value that's almost $7. And all the rest of them kind of go from $7 and $8. But $3.87 is a lot less than all the rest. So I would call the outlier in this situation $3.87. So I'm going to say $3.87 is the outlier. And now I want to know, how does this affect the measures of central tendency? So this $3.87 pay rate, that is a lot less than all the rest. What impact does that have on the mean, the median, and the mode? So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the outlier to see what impact it made. And first, let's start with the mean. So if we start with the mean, I know that originally when we added up those 8 numbers, we had 58.8. So I'm going to take the 387 away from that. And if you take 58.8 and subtract 387, you end up getting 54.93. So 54.93, and now we're going to divide that by, we only have 7 numbers because we took the 387 out. And if you divide that by 7, we end up getting $7.85 if we round that. So that's a rounded value. Okay, if you look at your original mean, the original mean was $7.35. Our new mean without the outlier is $7.85. So you can see that if you take out the outlier, the mean increases. If you take out the outlier for the median, so I already have the median all listed down here, so do you, I hope. And if we just were to pretend that $3.87 never happened and removed it from the data set, then we'd be working our way in from this $6.99. So $6.99, $8.75 match up, $7.25, $8.45 match up, $7.25, $8.25 match up. And now I'm left with $7.99 in the middle. So the median, our new median, would be $7.99. Our old median was $7.62. So this also increases. The last thing, the last measure of central tendency is the mode. And if we look back at our data set, if you take out the $3.87, $7.25 still appears twice, and all the rest of the numbers appear once. So the mode is still $7.25. It stayed the same. And this is basically what would happen. If your outlier is way smaller than all the rest of the data values, then if you take it out, your mean, your median, those are going to increase. If I had a value that was way higher than all the rest and took it out, I'd end up having a mean and median that decreased. So sometimes removing outliers gives you a more accurate picture of what the central tendencies are, but you're not always allowed to remove outliers. For example, if I'm going to report out my class averages to my principal, I can't take out the lowest value and call it an outlier. I have to include every single data value, otherwise it's being dishonest. So yes, removing outliers can give you a more accurate picture of central tendencies if you had values that were way smaller or way larger, but you're not always allowed to take them out. Alright, I want you to find the mean, median, mode now of this little line plot here. So we have number of books read in a week, and the first thing I want you to understand about this kind of graph, these are the numbers in the data set. The number of books read in the week are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. This tells me how many people read one book. So 2 people read one book, 1 person read 2 books, 1 person read 3 books, 3 people read 4 books, 1 person read 5, 2 read 6, 1 read 7, 1 read 8. So first thing we're going to do, let's find the mean. When you find the mean of this, I would just get my calculator out. You could probably do this one in your hand, but we'll use our calculators just to make it snappy. And the values of my data set would be, 1 happens twice, so I would type in 1 plus 1, plus I have 2, plus I have 3. I have 4 3 times, so 4 plus 4 plus 4. I have a 5, a 6, another 6, a 7, and an 8. When I added all of those up, I got 51. I'm hoping you did too. And there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 values in this data set. I would take 51 divided by 12, and I get for the mean 4.25 books. 4 1/4. Alright, the next thing, let's look for the mode. I like looking for the mode in a graph set up like this because it's pretty easy to identify. You just look for the column that has the most x's in it. So 4 happened 3 times. That means that the mode number of books is 4 because it's the number 4 that happened 3 times. To find the median, I know a lot of people that are able to just cross off the x's and work your way inward, and you can find where the center is. So if that way works for you, go right ahead. I'm going to actually write this data set out. I think it'll be helpful for a number of ways, and then we'll work our way from the outside in. So the values in this data set, I have 1 and another 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, and 8. And again, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 values. Now at this point, to find the median, all I have to do, start at the ends, moving over one number at a time, and I see that the middle is 4 and 4. Well, if you find the average of 4 and 4, it's 4. If you wanted to do that the long way, yes, you could take 4 plus 4, which is 8, divide it by 2, and you're going to get 4. So our median is equal to 4. 4 books. They're all kind of right around the same, so central tendency, all right about the same. Okay, a couple more examples here, so flip your page. Let's make sure you can see it. There we go. Okay, example 3, I ask you to find the value of x. It says here that the mean is 20, and here's my data set. I'm going to do that so I know that that the 20 is not part of the data set. The 20 is actually what the mean is. So you have 5 values here, and I tell you that the average of those 5 values, the mean of those 5 values is 20. We have to try to figure out what x is. If I know that to calculate the mean, I'm supposed to add up all the values and divide by the number of numbers I added, that could make an equation pretty simple for me. So again, we know that the mean is equal to adding up all the values, dividing the result by how many you added, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives you your mean. Well, we said the mean is 20. So right here we have an equation that will allow us to figure out what x is. And again, the reason I did this, I know that the mean is 20, so it equals 20. To find the mean of a data set, we add up all the numbers in the data set and divide by how many we added. Now we just need to solve this equation. So hopefully you remember how to get rid of this 5 in the denominator spot. That's what you want to happen first. So multiply each side by 5. That's how you undo division. When you do that, those 5s will cross cancel. And I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms right now. So I'm going to take 6 plus 22 plus 7 plus 36, and I get 71. So x plus 71 is left because the 5 is canceled out, and 20 times 5 is 100. All I have left is this little tiny 1 step, so I'm going to subtract 71 from each side, and 100 minus 71 is 29. So the value of x is 29. If you wanted to make sure that was right, then put it back in up here. Type in 6 plus 22 plus 29 plus 7 plus 36, enter. Divide it by 5, and you'll get your 20. If you don't believe me, go right ahead and give it a shot. All right, last one here. This one's a little different because I tell you the median is 28 and I want you to find x. So 28 is not part of my data values. The 28 is the result. Remember to find the median. That's the number that's in the middle. Well, in this data set, if I work from the outside in, 16 and 48 match up. 24 and x are both in the middle. Do you remember how to find a median when there's two numbers? That's right. You add those numbers up and divide by 2 because that's how many numbers you're adding. So that's what you do to get the median, right? Well, it says the median is 28. So this median is 28. I'm going to multiply each side by 2 to get rid of that denominator to start. So those cancel out. I'm left with 24 plus x equals 56. Again, nice little one step. Now I'll subtract 24 to get x alone. And x is equal to 32. All done. See you tomorrow.